Hey guys, how's it going? It's the Crypto Analyst here, and I hope all of you guys are having a good morning, evening, wherever you guys are from. And today I'm going to be explaining why I believe we're about to have a market reversal in cryptocurrency. Now, we've been seeing lower levels of negative momentum and straight bearish exhaustion coming out of this market. So I'm going to be breaking this down and explaining why exactly this signifies that we could be seeing some higher price action in Bitcoin and some of the altcoins in the very near future. So if you guys are interested, go and stick around for the video, and do not forget to hit the like and subscribe button, as it does help out the channel a lot. But ideally here, guys, when we are looking for a market reversal, the first thing that we're going to do is go ahead and look at some of the larger timescales like the daily and the weekly, because this gives us a broader scope of what's happening in the entire market and not just in the immediate future. So immediately looking at the daily, what we're seeing here is we're seeing double bullish divergence on our MACD. Now, this is ideally what we want to see, again, if you're a bull, because not only are you holding double bullish divergence, but you're also looking at your oscillators saying, hey, we are losing negative momentum on all of our oscillators. Every swing low that we've had has been consecutively a higher low than what we've previously had. But if we're looking at this from a bullish standpoint, you're keeping the same levels of positive momentum, with the exception of the great FOMO. You're keeping the same levels of positive momentum in your market over here, but you're losing levels of negative momentum. So if you're a bull and you're looking at this from an overall picture, you're saying, hey, we are seeing lower levels of negative momentum on our oscillators, but we're seeing the same levels of positive momentum over here from our bullish oscillators. So this is ideally a very, very good thing to see, seeing that all of this is drying up. And if we take a look at this from the weekly, it looks, pretty much exactly the same. If we're looking at this from the oscillators and looking at what we have over here, you're seeing lower levels of negative momentum. Let me go ahead and clean this up a little bit here, but it's exactly the same thing. Because what you have is you have lower levels of negative momentum on your weekly MACD. You've been seeing this dry up, and this is, of course, building towards the first quarter of 2018. But now that you're in the second and the third quarter of 2018, you are seeing this start to dry up. Again, every time we're having a swing low, it is consecutively lower and lower. And so the same thing on the oscillators for the weekly is consecutively lower lows over here. So again, you need to be paying attention to the larger time scale of what's truly happening in a broader picture over here, because this negative momentum is leaving. Of course, we've gotten to the point now in this recent drop that everyone thought was so bad and so harsh, it's barely showing up on the weeklies so far. So I mean, this is one of those things where you're looking at it and saying there is bearish exhaustion in this market. The bears are not, they are losing control, and they are fighting an uphill battle now against the bulls, which it looks like the bulls are about to come in and take over, because even after the last drop, guys, it's barely making a mark on the weekly. And from this standpoint, it would be almost impossible, almost even numerically impossible, for a bearish market to prolong itself and to get even worse than it's already gotten, because what you'd have to do is you'd have to get so bad that we're going back into essentially another complete cycle of what we saw in January and February and March. And that's really not realistic for the price of Bitcoin. If you factor in how mining works and how institutional investors and essentially Silicon Valley whales and everyone that's holding it, with supply and demand right now, it would be numerically impossible almost for Bitcoin to go through another cycle of this. So no matter how you look at this, you are seeing the negative volume getting dried up on Bitcoin. Another thing to note over here, if we go back to our daily, we can see that we're actually making consecutive higher lows, which is again a really, really good thing that we haven't seen in our market yet. So ideally, what we want to see over here is a higher low 3 times in a row. So this is what we're seeing over here. We're seeing, of course, higher low, higher low, higher low, and now another higher low. So we have 4 higher lows in a row. Ideally, I would have liked to see this come and bounce off the support line, just so we can get a genuine, confident support line that we know that we can use as a reliable source of where we could bounce from. But here we are. I guess we're getting so strong right now that we're not even needing to use this as a support. However, we are currently in between our 200-day EMA and our 50-day EMA. So something I believe could happen here is you could get rejected off your 200, come and bounce off the support and still make a higher low. So again, no matter how you look at this, it's looking bullish. You can't really stand here as a bull saying, or as a bear saying, we are going to control this market for another year or so, because again, just looking at this from a technical analysis point of view, it's just drying up. There's too much bearish exhaustion. So another thing I would like to point out over here, if I can make this a little bit smaller, is usually once you have at least three higher lows or 4 higher lows, that usually signifies a market reversal. So what I want to show over here is over in this area, what we have over here is, of course, we have 1, 2, and then 3 higher lows over here, 4, if you count this. And now this whole formation looks very, very similar to what we have over here. Let me go ahead and circle this so you guys can see what I mean. But if you're looking at this part, it looks extremely similar to this part, except this one's on a little bit of a larger scale over here. And what we see is that, of course, we see 1, 2, and then 3, 4 higher lows, and immediately we have a market climb. Now, when you have this and you have consecutive higher lows after each swing high and swing low, instead of all just being in one swing low, that means that you're going to have, again, a market reversal. So when you're looking at this and you're seeing 1, 2, 3, 4 swing lows, or higher swing lows, and then you have a climb. But when you see a 1 and then a 2 and then a 3, and then a 3 on three separate swing highs and swing lows, what I mean by this is you have swing low, swing high, higher swing low, higher swing high, higher swing low. Again, signifying this little pattern that we had over in here that signified this run is exactly what's playing out, except on a larger scale right now. So something to look at, looking at, if you are a bullish person, this is your time to shine, because it looks as if the bears are losing this and the bulls are taking back over the market. Now, something that we need to do over here in order to have this market reversal is to get a higher high, because that's something that we've been yet to do in this entire market. We have not had a higher high on our charts since I believe it was December of 2017. So almost 9 or 10 months now that we haven't seen a higher high on Bitcoin. But ideally, if you're going to have a market reversal, you're going to have to break that cycle eventually. So we do have 2 lines of resistance, signifying if you break these, you're going to be testing higher levels of price volume on Bitcoin. But when I say the word market reversal, what I don't mean is that we're instantly going to go back up to 20K and that we're going to immediately just see everything moon shoot and it's going to be great again. That's not exactly what I mean. A market reversal is not always what we saw over here on the left, because that is a very unique situation that we can't expect to happen every time we have a bull rally. But what I say when I say market reversal, what I mean is that we're going to start retesting some of these higher, some of these swing highs over here to the left of Bitcoin. So of course, our first one being our last one, it's around 7,300. Our second one being at 8,500. Our third one being at around 10 grand, and then our fourth one being around 11,800, 11,700. So what I believe we could be doing here, if we do have this market reversal, is we're going to start retesting some of these swing highs that we saw over here on Bitcoin, ideally. So again, that's what I mean by a bull market. I'm not saying we're just going to shoot all the way up here. In fact, I've made this prediction a while ago. I said, I believe we're going to have a market reversal. I think it's going to take a market reversal of a bull market, and then I think we're going to have another bear market, and then I think and then after that next bear market, I believe we're going to have a bull market that should surpass what we saw over here of 20K on Bitcoin. So I think, again, I do think it's going to take a little bit of rebuilding time, just like we saw in 2014. But I believe eventually, and something unique to look at over here is if we look at 2014 and just really the time period of how it all played out. Let me go ahead and look at this on a little bit larger of a time scale. If we're looking at 2014, oddly enough, it does look like a lot like what we're seeing in 2018 over here. Let me go ahead and make this a little bit bigger so you can see what I mean. Again, this looks very, very similar to 2018 and how all the prices are playing out. And everyone thought, when Bitcoin went from around $100 all the way up to around $1,100 up here, almost even $1,200. Everyone thought this is great, this is the moon, but the bubble would pop, and that prices weren't going to go any higher than this. You had all these people claiming it in 2014. You had the government getting involved. You had regulation and a very similar ideas as to what's happening right now. And so eventually what you saw this thing being absolutely dwarfed. If we look over here, this thing just looks like a bump in the road. In fact, you can barely see it if we make this thing all the way in. So it's just, again, looking at the bigger picture of cryptocurrency, guys, right now, you can't help but think that what happens if 5-10 years from now, this thing just looks like a little bump in the road. And probably 2014's chart probably won't even be visible, but what happens if this just looks like a bump in the road, 5-10 years from now, if this thing ever gets dwarfed? So Again, I'm not trying to give professional financial advice. That's not what I'm doing. This is just simply my opinion on my intake on the market and what I believe is going to happen based upon technical analysis and my history with Bitcoin. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this video did help you out. We crammed a whole lot of information into one video, but again, I hope it did help all of you guys out. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name has been the Crypto Analyst, and if you guys did enjoy the video, do not forget to hit the like and subscribe button, as it does really help out the channel more than you guys might think. But again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.